Hey everyone, it's Esmond. Welcome to the channel and welcome back for another EDH Deck Tech episode. This is going to be a pretty quick one because my eyes are still kind of recovering from an operation I had last week so that I can see without glasses. So today we are talking about Minn, Wily Illusionist. This is a new mono blue legend from the Adventures in Forgotten Realms commander decks, and honestly, there are a ton of ways to go about building this commander because she cares about drawing more cards every turn, she cares about making illusions or having illusions, and she cares about cheating things into play whenever an illusion dies. So I decided to go for a very thematic build. It's going to be very friendly. We're just going to be focused on drawing additional cards every turn. We're going to have a bunch of tribal synergies involving illusions and wizards because Minn is a wizard herself. So basically the game plan is going to be to flood the board with creatures, mostly illusions, to draw a bunch of cards and make more illusions, and basically just get a lot of value from this commander. Yeah, so let's get into it. So this is the deck. I've called it Minn Illusionary Value, and another reason why I actually built this deck is because patrons on the Patreon page, they've voted for this deck. There's been a lot of talk as well of this commander on our Discord server. So if you want to hop in and join the discussion, everything's in the links below. If you want to support this channel, go check out the Patreon page and you can vote on our polls and influence the content that I make on this channel. Alright, so we are starting with our first category, which is the real illusions, because we want to get illusions on the board. We have Krovikan Mist, who cares about the number of illusions we have. Phantasmal Image is an illusion that can copy another creature we control. Phantasmal Abomination, 3 mana, 5/5. When this dies, if Minn is on the field, we get to immediately cheat out a 5 CMC permanent, which is amazing. Same goes for Phantasmal Dragon and Dreadmaw. The dragon is here because it's just a big beater, like 4 mana, 5/5 flyer. That's pretty amazing. Even if it dies, it gets to replace itself when we cheat something in from our hand. Then we have Phantom Steed. This is a new card as well that's in the precon, and it has flash, and when it ETBs, we can exile another creature we control until it leaves the field, and when it attacks, we get to create a token that's a copy of the exiled creature, except it becomes an illusion. So this is going to be one of the sub-themes in the deck, which is to get value from making more copies of our other creatures, and this is another illusion that does that, Spark Double. We have Tuti here, and this is an example of a creature that we want to exile with Phantom Steed, because when it leaves the battlefield, we get a trigger to draw cards, and whenever we draw cards, of course, it gets a +1 counter. It's an illusion. Then we have Illusory Ambusher. We can flash it in to block something and draw a bunch of cards. We have Draining Well, a 6 mana counter spell illusion thing, and we have the new Planeswalker, Mordenkainen. The +2 immediately draws us 2 cards. The -2 makes an illusion, so everything is super thematic. Then for our next category, we have the wizards behind the illusions. So these are our wizards, and like I said, you know, this is kind of tribal-ish. We have a bunch of tribal synergies. This is also inspired by one of the Patreon deck lists, so thank you for submitting it. You know who you are, and I thought it was really cool to have these wizard synergies. So the first one is Lord of the Unreal, giving our illusions +1/+1 and hexproof. Then we have Baron. This one is interesting because we can sacrifice the illusions to bounce a creature back to its owner's hand. We can either bounce an opponent's creature, we can bounce our own creature to protect it. Then we have Champion of Wits to draw cards. We have Curiosity Crafter, working well with our creature tokens to draw more cards. And then we have one of the stars, I think one of the key pieces of this deck, which is Maskwood Nexus, tying our 2 tribes together, you know, illusions and wizards. So immediately with something like Lord of the Unreal, it gives our, you know, it makes, because everything becomes illusion, so he himself becomes an illusion and he gets hexproof. It also helps give our commander hexproof because Minn becomes an illusion. And of course, Maskwood Nexus itself makes shapeshifter tokens with changelings that are all creature types. Then we have Master of Winds, just another wizard that can draw 2 cards, because drawing 2 cards is very important in this deck. We have Riverwise Augur, same thing, you know, draw 3 cards. Azami, Lady of Scrolls, to, you know, more tribal synergies for our wizards, because Minn is a wizard herself. We can tap Minn to draw a card. Then we have Arcanist, the Omnipotent, tap to draw 3 cards. It's something we would like to cheat in, preferably. And we have Archetype of Imagination, a wizard that helps us finish off the game. If we have a board full of tokens, full of creatures, we can just give them all flying, make our opponent's creatures lose flying and swing in for the win. So let's move on. We have all our value cards. These are the cards that are going to help us draw cards and make use of our tokens. Brainstorm, draw 3 cards, make a token. Sensei Stop, essentially drawing an additional card every turn. Skull Clamp, we can, sacrifice our token and at the same time draw 2 cards. It's amazing. Wizard class, once again, no maximum hand size. And we can make it, draw 2 cards by paying 3 mana. And for 5 mana, whenever we draw a card, we can buff our creatures, which is what we want. Finale of Revelation, draw more cards. Also, maybe give us a no maximum hand size, which is important. Mask of Memory, drawing 2 cards. Archmage's Charm, super modular, flexible, either counter a spell, draw 2 cards or gain control of something. Blue Sun Zenith, draw more cards. Crystal Shard, this is playing into our theme of kind of bouncing back creatures to their hands so that we can replay them again, or also just to protect our things. Grazilex, a new card that also does similar things. We can just swing in without fear, and if anything gets blocked that we don't want it to die, we can just return it back to our hand and play it again for more value. Monastery Siege, letting us draw an additional card every turn. Pulse of the Grid, super interesting. 3 mana, instant speed, draw 2 cards and then discard a card, and we have the chance to get it back to our hand so that we can play it again. You Find the Villain's Lair, another modular card that can either counterspell or draw 2 cards for us. Bidon of Thassa, because we are focused on a more creature beatdown kind of plan, so whenever a creature deals damage, we can draw cards. Inscription of Insight, another modular spell, super flexible. In fact, it just creates an illusion by itself, so very cool. Jace the Mind Sculptor, letting us draw cards. Kumina's Awakening, also just drawing additional cards a turn. Recon Mission, similar to Bidon of Thassa, just that it has cycling, so we can, draw a card. And Teferi's Ageless Insight, letting us double our extra card draws. Cavalier of Gales, another very utility creature that we want to replay over and over again so that we can always keep drawing cards and brainstorming. Same for Muldrifter. Mystic Confluence, another modular spell. Tezzeret, letting us create tokens as well as drawing cards. If we have 3 or more artifacts, we can just zero him to draw 2 cards. But yeah, you see we have kind of a token theme in this deck as well. And then we have Attempsis, All-Seeing. Another thing that we would like to cheat in, we can pay 3 mana, tap it, draw 2 and discard a card. And this gives us another way to knock people out of the game, because when it does damage to an opponent, we can reveal our hand, and if we have those 6 different CMCs, that player loses the game. Then we have another Sphinx, Consecrated Sphinx, just super good, drawing 2 cards every time an opponent draws a card. Echo of Eons to kind of refill our hand, or something good to discard and cast from the graveyard to shuffle everything back in. Agent of Treachery, a big thing that we want to cheat out and hopefully just make more copies of, so that we can control 3 other permanents that we don't own, so every turn we can draw 3 cards. Alright, so that's about the illusion stuff, and then we have the combo that involves Maloku, the Clouded Mirror, as well as a Blasting Station as our sacrifice outlet of choice. So how this works is that if we have Blasting Station and Maloku as well as Minn on the field, we just need an untapped land. We tap that land for mana, activate Maloku to return that land to our hand, and we get an illusion token. Then we tap to sacrifice that illusion token, deal 1 damage to an opponent, and when that illusion dies, Minn will trigger, so we then put back the land that we returned to our hand, and once again we tap it for mana, bounce it back to our hand, make an illusion. When a creature comes into play, then it will untap Blasting Station, and then we can tap it again. So it's an infinite loop basically, where we just deal infinite damage to our opponents. And it's a pretty friendly combo. I mean, this costs 3 mana, this costs 5 mana. We don't really have any tutors for either of these pieces. But by themselves, I mean, they do stuff in the deck. Blasting Station is just a good outlet for us to sacrifice our tokens, to either ping other creatures or to ping opponents. And Maloku just makes illusions, which buffs up Minn's illusions. Alright, then we move on to some very real interaction. We have Abjure, letting us sacrifice a token hopefully to counter a spell. We have a few counter spells, Arcane Denial, Counterspell, Mana Drain. Then we have Cyclonic Rift, Resculpt, Spectral Deluge and Raven Form as our removal. Then we have 7 ramp pieces, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Mindstone, Sapphire Medallion, Sky Diamond, Thought Vessel, no maximum hand size, and Midnight Clock, which lets us once again shuffle back our graveyard and start drawing more cards again. And we have 34 lands. Things to note here, we have things like Faceless Haven that can become all creature types. We have our fetch lands because we have a lot of Brainstorm-esque kind of cards, so we can shuffle away the cards that we put back on top if we don't like them. We have Riptide Lab, which works well with our pseudo-tribal synergies, letting us protect our wizards or reuse them for more ETB value. We have War Room to draw more cards, Scavenger Grounds for graveyard hate, and Seagate Restoration. Once again, this no maximum hand size thing is going to be important because we want to draw a lot of cards. So that's about it for the deck. I have a bunch of cards here that are, if you want to upgrade this deck, make it slightly more powerful. I still think it's going to be friendly because it's going to be more thematically focused, but you can make it faster. You can put Fast Ramp, Chrome Mox, Lotus Petal, Jeweled Lotus, Lotus Petal, Mana Crypt, Mox Opal. You have more powerful counter spells, like Pact of Negation, Fierce Guardianship, Force of Will. You have more stapley kind of card draw like Rhystic Study and Mystic Remora. These are not included in the main deck because they kind of only draw one card a turn and they're not even guaranteed. So we ideally want to draw 2 cards every turn so that we can trigger Minn. And then you can of course put in more sacrifice outlets like Altar of Dementia, Phyrexian Altar. You can put in tutors, you have Muddle and Mixture, you have other tutors. But yeah, that's about it for the deck. It's a pretty friendly deck, and I think it's one of the more interesting decks that I have built recently because it's just trying to do quite a few different things that mesh together synergistically, and you have to find the right balance between drawing cards and creating illusions, as well as having things that you want to cheat in for value. So yeah, that's pretty much the deck. If you liked it, don't forget, please hit that subscribe button, like button. It helps me so much, helps me to grow this channel more, make more content. And if you do want to influence the content that I make here, go check out the Patreon page where patrons get to support this show, this channel, as well as influence the content that I make. And join us on Discord, join the discussion, let me know your thoughts, your opinions, your ideas. Otherwise, thank you for watching. I will see you all next time. Bye.